Welcome back to the Legacy Podcast. My name is Olisya Grant, co-founder of The Matrix Legacy, and here we are back for episode number 9. This is the show where we create a blueprint for success, we find ways to create generational wealth, and we break those chains of a poverty mindset. And this week was really about clearing the clutter for me. And one of the things I wanted to clear out and reset was my laptop, my computer. And while I was clearing out the computer, I stumbled across some wedding pictures. So my husband and I, we got married August of 2019. And I was taking a look at the pictures, and just the way in which we put the wedding together in a matter of 4 months kind of got me on track to what I wanted to speak about today. The building block essentially for the day that I truly want to speak about is, how do you start when you're not ready? Because the thing that's holding us back is our ability to just start. So going back to my wedding example, originally when my husband proposed, it was Christmas of 2018. So at the time we're saying, okay, you know what? Maybe a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, we'll have the wedding ceremony. Until we reflected a little bit and said, okay, well, why does it have to be 2 years from now? What's the reason? And what it boiled down to was we didn't know how to plan a wedding. Neither of us had ever been married. We had no idea how we were going to be able to pull everything together. So to combat that fear, we decided to just push the date out so far that you can almost forget about that thing that you want, but you don't know how to do it. I said, you know what are we doing waiting an entire year? You proposed to me, you want to get married, I want to get married, so let's just do it now. It was a matter of how can we pull this together when we're not ready. We're ready to get married, but we're not ready to put on a wedding. And so the thing that got us over and allowed us to have a 200-person wedding in the matter of 4 months was our ability to just start. So we go ahead, we find this incredible place on Airbnb. It was a mansion. And so we said, you know what? Let's just put the money down on it. The rest will sort itself out. From there, all of a sudden, friends who are photographers, and my grandmother who's a cook for her church, and our friend who's a DJ, all these people just start crowding around us and saying, how can I help? What can I do? What can I provide? But the key there was us just starting. Us saying, okay, I'm sending out the invitations, I'm booking the venue, everything else just has to fall into place. And I think that's what a lot of us are missing. We have the goal, we know exactly what we want to do, but we've never done it before. And so instead of just taking the first step to get a better idea of what's to come, we get into this mode of analysis paralysis. And what that means is we take so much time researching and reading articles and asking for advice and, watching videos and just consuming all this information to the point where we're absolutely overwhelmed, and then nothing happens. And I was talking to my husband the other day, and he was saying, it's so much better to have ignorance on fire than to have intelligence on ice. And what that means is once you're in that state of, you know just enough to take a couple steps, you're much more likely to find success that way than spending days, weeks, months consuming all of this information, and then it's like information overload. Because you've seen too many different perspectives, you've heard too many horror stories, you've heard too many ways in which things can go wrong. So now you've analyzed yourself into a state of paralysis. Now you're stuck because you took in too much. But if you take in just a little bit, so you're well educated enough to know, okay, if I'm planning a wedding, this means I need a venue, I need, invitations, food, I need music, and I'm gonna need a dress. So those are the main 5 things that you find that you need. And so as you start to pursue each one of those main topics, different tasks start falling out within each. So, okay, I need a dress, which means I gotta find a store, or I gotta find a secondhand shop, or I gotta just decide if I'm renting, if I'm buying. So there's a bunch of different subheaders in that. But because I just did enough research to know that that was one of the things I have to focus on, I can just take action. And then whatever else falls out after that, great, I'll just take it as it comes. So the same thing relates to when we're setting goals for ourselves. You first have to figure out the what. Get very clear on your goal. Figure out exactly what it is that you're trying to do. What's the mission? What's the reason why? And you cannot forget the reason why you're doing it. Because if you just start something for, okay, I want some extra money or I want some extra flexibility, that's not clear enough. Because when things get tough, if the excuse is I just want some more money, that's very easy to walk away from because you've never had more money. So you're okay with where you are right now. So the motivation of just money is not enough. My reason why for that wedding is because my husband and I had reached a few milestones in our lives. We had purchased a home, we had got engaged, and we had yet to create a space for people to celebrate with us. We didn't do a housewarming, we didn't do an engagement party. And so the wedding, the reason why we really wanted to have that wedding, of course, to commit to each other, but beyond that, the reason that we wanted to have a wedding was because there's so many people that had loved and supported us and seen us through different stages and phases of our lives. And we wanted to create a space where we could all celebrate and be one together. And that is what fueled us to say, okay, let's do this and let's do it quick and let's do it well, because the reason is beyond us. A lot of times we take on goals, we take on tasks, and the reason is a selfish reason. The only reason we're doing it is for our own gain. And so when things get tough, it's so much easier to walk away because nobody else is depending on us. It's for nobody else but ourselves. So we can kind of make do with letting ourselves down, but letting others down is something that's a lot harder for us. In order for you to find success and in order for you to take that step, it has to be something beyond you. If you have in your mind, okay, I want to start a YouTube channel. If the reason why is, I had this great experience and I just want to share this great experience with everybody, well then, as soon as you get tired or as soon as something else comes up, it's going to be very easy for you to say, I'm not going to release that episode. I don't need to film that because it's all about you. But if you've created a following, or if there's real value in your journey, in your content, and the reason you're vlogging is because you're living a lifestyle that you want to inspire others to achieve, now you will think twice about not doing that video because you'll think about all the people who are missing out on that inspiration because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. Another thing I've noticed that stops people from starting is they're so busy looking left, looking right, looking at other people's lives and other people's circumstances and truly believing that it should be theirs. And you're taking a look at the highlight reel of everybody else's life and comparing it to your situation, where you are right now, and thinking, I'm not there yet, so I have nothing to show. I'm not there yet, so I can't take a step. But how do you expect to get there if you won't take a step? You didn't see the backstory. You didn't see all those late nights. You didn't see the sweat, the tears, the drama that person had to go through in order to create that highlight reel that you're watching. But you saw the end result and you missed the journey. But the key to that person's success is they started. They figured out what it was that they wanted to do. What value do I have to add? Who needs to hear what I have to say, or who can use my assistance to get to their next level? So the first thing is what is the value that I have to add? The second thing is, how will I communicate that value? How will I distribute my message? If my message is, you can have a healthier life by changing your diet or changing the way that you think about food. That's my message. That's my what. That's my purpose, is to educate people on how food impacts their body. The second part to figure out is how. How am I going to get my message out? Is it going to be in video content? Is it going to be audio? Am I just going to record my voice? Am I a blogger? Am I really skilled at writing and I can write this information out? Am I very good with pictures, photography, or am I able to compose things to create a gallery where people can come and see visuals for inspirations on how to fuel their body? You have to figure out how you are going to communicate your message. How are you most comfortable? Because all the 5 or 6 things I just listed, anybody can do that. You're just standing in your way because you're afraid of what other people are going to think. But what if we flip that on its head and say, well, what are people going to miss out on if I don't deliver this message? If I sit here in fear and in worry of judgment and what people are going to think about me, then who is the person that's going to miss out on this information, this experience that I have that can help them unlock what they want in their lives? Again, this comes back to your reason why you're doing what you're doing has to be so far beyond you. And I spoke about this in my last podcast in regards to, if you want more, serve more. If something is missing in your life, it is because you have not helped enough people. And the reason you have yet to help enough people is because you are holding yourself back in fear of judgment, when the real fear is who is missing out on your message. The thing is, opportunities present themselves to us all the time. And the one thing that you have to understand is you can never say, I'm not ready. Because as soon as you say you're not ready, and I heard this from Charlemagne the God, he wrote a book called Black Privilege. And he spoke about how as soon as you say, I'm not ready, the only reason you're not ready is either because you don't trust yourself or because you don't trust God. And if you don't trust those two people, yourself and your source, your God, whatever it is that you believe in, then how can you ever count on anybody else to trust you? We have to change that language from I can't to how can I? And the key is to start where you are with what you have. Because you can give anybody all the resources in the world. It's not a matter of a lack of resources. It's a matter of lack of resourcefulness. And the reason that you're not able to be resourceful is because you haven't found a reason bigger than yourself. You have to find a why. You have to find your calling. You have to unlock your purpose. And your purpose can come from whatever your goal is. Whatever that thing is that you could talk about all day, whether it be makeup, whether it be shoes, whether it be sports, whether it be hair, education, real estate, cryptocurrency, it doesn't matter what it is. That thing that lights you up and you spend most of your time doing. Create a time budget for yourself and take a look. In a 24-hour span, what is it that I spend the most time doing? Whatever it is you spend the most time doing, that's the thing that you appreciate and you find value in the most. And whatever you're dedicating the most time to is the thing that you are slowly becoming an expert in. And as soon as you become an expert in your own experience and in your own topics that you value, that's when it's the time to share it. Because somebody else hasn't tapped into what you've already seen. And they need to hear that in order to get started on their own journey. And you're so busy consuming more and more information and not ever doing anything with it, you're robbing the universe of the value that you've been placed here to provide. And if you're not providing value, then you can't expect to get value in return. If you're not putting anything out there in the world, then you can't expect to get anything back. And this is why it is so important to get started, even if you're not ready. That is the best time to start. Because that goes back to that phrase, ignorance on fire is better than intelligence on ice any day. The key to get to where you're going, even in the midst of this pandemic, is to just start. Whatever your hunch is in terms of the reason why you are here, you must act on that right away. Figure out how you are going to get your message out. Whatever platform that looks like, whatever feels most comfortable to you, find a way to get your message out. And the universe will conspire in your favor and send all the mentors and the resources and the answers to the questions that you have. But you have to act, and you have to act immediately. As soon as you get an idea, I call it, it's not a good idea, it's a God idea that was sent to you. Instantly in that moment, do something towards that vision that you have, because somebody is waiting on you. And that's the block. That's the building block that I want to leave with you today. You have to start when you're not ready. There is no such thing as ready. You will never be ready. You make the decision. What are you here for? What could you do every single day of your life for the rest of your life? The how-to literally just unfolds after you decide. But you have to act immediately. That's the only way this works. I'm really hoping that this message is going to help somebody. And if it helped you even in the least, send this to a friend. Like, subscribe, comment. It all helps more people receive this message. And if you know somebody who needs to hear that message, Go ahead and send this video to them, send this audio to them. Let them receive the same message that you've received, and let's just go together. If not now, then when? We need to provide value. And if you need help, got a bunch of tools, courses, and content that I'm about to release to provide a resource that can help you get to where you're going. But the only way you will ever get there is to just start. That's all I've got for today, guys. Join me next weekend as we create another building block, as we build our legacy. Next episode, I will actually have a very special guest. So that is an episode that you do not want to miss as we celebrate our 10th episode on the Legacy Podcast. So again, join me here next week. And until next time, let's build a legacy.